Hello, everybody. Welcome to Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light. We are so happy you could join us today. We have an amazing, amazing show ahead for you. How many of us are struggling to recover from losing an hour of sleep last night? I know I am. This always kicks my butt when we lose that hour of sleep, but that means that we're going to have more daylight, more sunshine, and warm weather is coming for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's a lot to celebrate. Today's show is going to be super fun. We have the amazing Jackie Dennison with us, who's going to share a big message about getting a kick in the ass from spirit, because I know we all have been having a lot of those lately. And sometimes when you're not getting the message, spirit will make sure, it will find a way to always make sure you get that message. So this is about paying attention to spirit and really truly listening to what you know is true and right for you. Before we get started, please take a moment to share it out, invite your friends, say hi, tell us where you're from. We always love hearing from all of you. And again, thank you all for joining us today. Rhonda, can you tell us about our guest?
Oh, I'm so pleased that we have Jackie Dennison back. She's a psychic medium. She's a wonderful psychic artist. She does research. She is the director of Feathers Academy, which is a psychic work school, online and in person. Feathers Academy is what it's called. You can look that up and Google it. Also, all her links are in the bio, and she's got a great social media presence, and she's a movie star. Well, in my eyes, she is. She's on Rescue Medium. She has 7 episodes, 7 seasons under belt. Here in Canada, it was shown widely. You can see it now on veryparanormal.com or on YouTube. It's just a wonderful show. It's a whole different attitude than ghost hunting. Really, it's more about rescuing spirit and helping the living cope with their otherworldly guests. But she's doing all sorts of new things, and that's why we've had her back on. But Jackie, I'm going to let you update us what's going on in your life, and sort of give us, have you always had this ability? Has it been always this way?
Well, we're all born with disability. That's something if we're all born with. It's just that when we go to school, of course, we have to learn all the practical stuff in life, as we should, and then it gets set on a back burner, and then it comes back, and So with me, I was sort of, as a child, seeing things without realizing that other people weren't seeing what I was seeing when I was about 8 or 9. Then it sort of left me until I was a teenager, and then as a teenager, you're interested in that, aren't you? But for different reasons. So I was interested in the sort of spooky side of things, if you like, as a teenager. Interested in, can we conjure up something, out of nowhere, hanging around graveyards and things like that, I mean, why would you want to hang around a graveyard? Would spirits want to hang around a graveyard after they've passed away, or would they much rather hang out somewhere where they loved, So now as an adult, of course, I know the difference. So you won't get me sitting in a graveyard, or not voluntarily anyway. And then, of course, as you get older, you different things happen in your life, and you get a career, you get married, you have babies, and then for me, sort of career for me is a way of life, because my career is my spirituality, my psychic ability that now I use to help other people. So as you said, we've got Feathers Academy, and we train other mediums at Feathers Academy, as well as do sort of readings and that kind of thing. Haven't got the centre anymore. I gave up the Feathers Centre in August of last year. And now this is my beautiful little place here that my son has built for me. So it's still a place where people can come, except now you need an appointment. It's not just a drop-in centre anymore. Although my mailbox is always open, so I still help people like that. And of course, people can always give me a call as well, as long as you don't ring me at 3:00 a.m., bearing in mind time zone differences around the world. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Things have taken quite a big turn for me. And this is why I think the title of this particular show is good, because Spirit definitely did give me a kick up the you-know-what. Because I'd been quite a long time deciding whether I should close that business in feathers, close the shop. And as every time I thought, oh yeah, and I need to do this, I need to close the shop, because it was taking such a lot of my time up. If there was nobody else in the shop, then I had to man the shop, which meant I couldn't do readings for people. So I had to, vary my time, and it's tiring, when you're doing that all the time, and you're running a home as well, and you've got family commitments. And I'd done that for 22 years in the same area. So I thought, it's time to give up. And every time I made that decision, someone would come into the shop and they would say, oh, do you know, I'm so, so glad that you're here. This is a lifesaver for me. I've got somewhere where I can go, where I can talk to other people. You don't know how much this has changed my life. And then I'm thinking, oh, stop being so damn selfish, Jackie. It's not for you, it's for other people. So, that's where my headspace was for many, many years. But every time I spoke to my spirit guide about this, that's Jeremiah, the spirit guide that I speak to every day. Every time I spoke to him about this and said, look, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I need to do. I say somebody would come into the shop, but then I realised that it was actually him saying to me, don't you think you should? And I was thinking it was me. I was thinking, I'm thinking I should do this. But it was actually him putting that thought into my head saying, don't you think you should think about it? And eventually, after a series of events that happened, COVID in the middle of all of that, of course, had a huge impact on how I ran my business, because I couldn't open the shop. And then, I thought, I managed without that. People still managed during COVID without coming to a centre. People could still reach me without coming to the centre. I just had more emails to deal with, more phone calls to deal with, more Zoom to deal with. But I was still accessible, and that's what I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be accessible. And when the penny started to drop with me, I thought, I need to do something about this. My husband had retired from work. He took early retirement, and I thought, I need to spend more time with my family as well. You need to balance everything out in life, don't you? Sort of mentally, emotionally, spiritual, physically, everything. And so when I came to that decision, and my spirit guide must have been going, oh, for goodness sake, how long has it taken? How many years have we been doing this, been trying to get her to do this? So as soon as I made that decision, and the amazing thing was, I rented the building where Feathers was, and I got in touch with the owner of the building and said, I'm really, really sorry to have to tell you this, because he's a great landlord, fantastic landlord. And we've had a great relationship for a long time. And I said, but this is the decision that I've come to. And he went, oh, I'm so relieved. He said, because I wanted to put it on the market. I want to sell the building. He said, but I've not sold the building because I didn't want to ask you to leave. So, we were both sort of being kind to each other, if you like. So that was a huge weight off me. And then I made that decision to leave. We got that end date. And that's when I realised that Spirit had been giving me that kick, and they've been trying to give me that kick for a while. And maybe I'm very stubborn. You can't budge me. If I like things in a certain way, that's it. Anybody who knows me will know I'm quite a control freak like that, So when I had made that decision, and I say my spirit guide must have been jumping up and down going, hallelujah, finally, she's got to do this. Then marvelous things started to happen, because I started to get phone calls and emails for other work, for other areas, so other like filming work or investigations or areas that I hadn't thought of before, teaching for other people as well. All of these different things came into play. And I realized that having closed that doorway, it's then opened another doorway then, which
You have
opens
to make
another and
space,
another and
right?
another.
You
Yes.
only have 24 hours a day, and you have to rest, and you have to have space to go forward.
Yeah.
You can't do it
Yeah,
all, no
and
matter what you want.
yeah, that opened an absolutely amazing opportunity for me, because I was contacted by in a roundabout way through another medium friend of mine, Jackie Weaver, who had put my name forward to a Japanese company who wanted some work doing in Japan, through a long, very long process of interviews with interpreters. I ended up going to Japan in October to film a documentary for them, a 2-hour documentary about how a psychic stroke medium is able to, how would they tackle a problem? How they, just for example, if there was a missing animal, how would a psychic approach that? Or if there was a missing person, how would a psychic approach that? What would be the methodology of doing that? As opposed to how a professional within their field, so someone who is involved in animal rescue, and they have all the equipment to be able to track a missing animal. So it was like a comparison between the two, and an absolutely amazing writer, Koano, who wrote the series, wanted to develop this, to explore it, because it's quite unique to the Western side of the world. But in Japan, this is different. It's a different way of looking at things. They have completely different way of viewing spirituality. Anyway, I went out there for 9 days. I did the show. It was a 2-hour show. It was very well received. It was sold to Taiwan, and it only aired in Japan. So I had interpreters with me because everything's in Japanese. I just had the most amazing time in Tokyo. Absolutely fabulous. And anyway, it's so successful that they asked me to go back. So I'm going back in a few weeks' time, for twice as long as before. So I go for, I think it's 16 or 17 days, then I come home, have a little bit of a rest, then I go back. But the really great thing is, I'm so pleased about my aim was to, I was hoping and praying that, because the Japanese think differently about how psychics and mediums work, that this would open up new avenues for other mediums to showcase their abilities, to be able to help other people, and to bring this to the general public. So that's exactly what's happened. And I was really pleased when they contacted me to say, can you recommend any other psychics or mediums who have similar gifts to yours, that we could consider doing a show with them? So yeah, that's what I did. I recommended 3 different mediums, one in Canada, one in America, one in England. All of them were interviewed, all brilliant in their own right. I'm sure the doors open future-wise for the other 2 that were not chosen, but the one that was chosen, I was thrilled about, is, you actually know her, Megan Downs. You've
Yeah,
interviewed
we've had
her.
her on our show. She's
Yes,
such a lovely
yeah.
young woman. Yeah.
She certainly is. So yeah, so Megan and I go to Japan together. So
Two
I do the first.
redheads. Two redheads
Yeah,
in Japan. Awesome.
yeah,
You might stick out there, except I guess there's lots of different color hair
yeah.
sometimes.
Well, she looks gorgeous with her gorgeous long red hair. Mine, as you can see, needs the dye going on. It's 65 years old. It needs a bit of a help now.
Well, it needs those low lights,
Oh,
right?
there's
What they call
Megan.
low.
Megan's watching
There's
right now.
Megan. Oh, she can't wait, she says. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't. So it's a long flight for you, isn't it? How long a
Yes.
flight?
Well, because of the political situation with Russia, the flights are diverted. So yeah, all round, it's about 17 hours. You know, you have to have a stopover and whatever. So
Yeah. That's a big long day. Yeah, that would
yeah.
be, yeah. But so worth it. And
Yeah.
it'll be quite a culture shock for anybody coming from England to Japan, isn't it? It
Oh my
must be.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. One of the, when they talk about Tokyo being like a vibrant sort of city, you don't realize how vibrant it is until you're actually there. And it's a beautiful, beautiful country. I'm really pleased that when I go back, we're actually going to be on the west coast of Tokyo. Sorry, the west coast of Japan, whereas we were predominantly in the Tokyo area, which is massive, huge, absolutely huge. So this time we're going to be traveling, I believe, on the west coast. I don't know where. They don't tell me where in advance. It wouldn't do me any good anyway because I don't know any of the places.
Right.
But I don't like to know things in advance. I didn't with rescue mediums. I don't with stuff that we do now. I like to be able to get that information and process it, while I'm there. So it's good. It's a completely different show though to rescue mediums.
Okay. Is it
Yeah.
still
So
evidence based? I know with rescue mediums, if you just want to describe to our viewers who maybe come from another planet. No, I shouldn't say that. Not everybody has heard of rescue mediums. It's a real Canadian thing up here. We all hear, oh, you know the rescue? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Everybody's quite hyped up about it. But for those who don't know, if you describe your show, because you have 7 seasons and they're great episodes and it's really, I know the places that you're going to, or at least I know the city, so it's sort of interesting for me. But
yeah.
to give a little synopsis of that show for our audience, because you've had a couple
Well,
of partners.
yeah. Well, rescue mediums. We've done 89 shows. And it's sort of based on something that I've been doing for a long time, long before rescue mediums came into being. Is that we somebody has a problem in the home, a haunting, or there's a bad vibe there. They don't know why. And so we go into the home. We find out through mediumship are there any spirits here? First of all, it might not be any spirits. It might just be like residual energy, or there could be a number of different things. It could be ley lines, even. That can affect energy. So we go in, we find out, who's doing the haunting, why are they doing the haunting, and how can we help to get you over to the other side? So we're helping spirit and helping the homeowners at the same time. But the rescue mediums is always from day one. I always wanted it, and I know Christine did, and also Alison. We wanted the show to be like a tutorial, and we were lucky enough that when we met with the producers of the show, Lamport and Shepherd, that they felt that was a good plan, that it became a tutorial, which is why when we are experiencing, so we're, if we say, oh, there's a lady over there, blah, 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 she's dressed like this and this, they would do a reenactment of what we were seeing in our minds, which I thought was really helpful as a visual to do that. And of course, everything's backed up with research. And I am a stickler for trying to prove, if we've got proof there in black and white of something that we are experienced on a psychic and mediumship level, that we've not seen beforehand, the researcher has to go away and really, really dig to find that information, then that has to be good proof. And I like to have that. I like to try and back things up as much as I possibly can. And that's what Rescue Mediums offers. And I think that's why it's different to other shows, because we don't go in shouting and going, show yourself, throw something, if they want to throw something, just duck, tell me to duck before you're going to throw it. If they want to do that's fine, but that's not what the purpose is. The purpose is to go in and help, and help on lots of different levels to bring that energy back down, so that everybody is comfortable, spirit are happy, off wherever they have needed to go to. And the homeowner is more enlightened as to why it was happening, and therefore the viewer is enlightened as well. And so I've had a lot of people contact me to say, you know, thank you to you and your co-host for showing us in the way that you did, because I had a similar problem and I was able to deal with it, you know. And so it shows people like, let's take all the Scooby-Doo effects out of this and let's make it,
Yeah.
this is reality, you know. So how can we deal with it? You know, one of the worst things I think is fear. Is fear of the unknown, and we're only frightened of things that we don't understand. So if we can make sense out of something, it takes that fear factor or some of that fear factor away. You know, so that was in a nutshell. As you know, I can go on and talk forever, but in a nutshell, that's what the show's all about, and that's something that I've always done, spirit rescue work, and continue to do so.
I find it very interesting that sometimes the spirits are very upset and scared of what's going
Yeah.
on because they're not understanding. And it's like they don't understand that they're not living anymore a lot of
Yeah.
times, or that
Yeah.
they're trapped and they're looking and they're trapped in their own little bubble of fear. And that's what's keeping them from seeing the light, right? Do you find that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just an understanding. It's a bit like, you know, you're lost and you're walking down a road. It's the night time. There's no lights on anywhere, and you're not quite sure where you're going. And you see a light on in someone's house. So the logical thing is you go knock on the door and say, "I'm a little bit lost. Can you tell me? You know, where am I? Where do I need to go? You know." And so that's what I think it can be like for spirit who are just a little bit lost. They just don't know where to go. And when I teach rescue work, I try to instill that in my students, in that it's not all about the scary you thing. You're dealing with spirits who have once lived on the earth plane. So, you know, they haven't suddenly sprouted wings and become angels. They've still got issues they need to deal with. So I liken it to spirit counseling. You know, let's find out why they're doing this. Don't just say, "Come on, show yourself." I mean, these places that are really haunted, that you know, you get groups going to because they're known to be haunted places. You can just imagine the spirits going, "Oh God, there's another group coming in. Oh, what are we going to do tonight?" You know, and so it's like it's not a party piece. They unless they want to perform, you know, spirit might want to entertain and perform, and some spirits do. You know, they enjoy doing that. They enjoy having this interaction like that. But the majority that I've come across just want to be, you know, guided in the right direction. They've got something to say. They need to explain why they're there, and then they need to move on, you know. So I when I teach students, I try to keep a very very small uh, group for things like that. Or in particular, one I've got a very up and coming young medium that I'm working with and have been working with for quite a while now. His name's Jack Hutchinson, a lovely young man, and he comes to me. He's been coming to me for quite a while now, and he first contacted me because of rescue mediums, and he said, I want to be a rescue worker. This is what I want to do." And so I take him with me on various, situations, but I wouldn't let him go on any of the situations until we've done all the groundwork, because it's important that we do that first, you know. The same with Megan. I mean, Megan trained with us at Feathers, so she knew what she was doing. She knew how to put the groundwork in to be able to progress. And because she's a medium in her own right now, she's got her own business and very, very successful at that business with readings and with Reiki. She's also she does Reiki now and lots of other weird and wonderful things. And so her and I are actually filming a show here in England. We've done 3 episodes of a show. Where fingers crossed that we can get someone, a broadcaster, to pick it up. But we've now got an editor in Canada who's willing to edit all the way. Up to now, it's been me. I learned how to do editing during lockdown, believe it or
Oh,
not.
awesome for you. That's another feather in your cap, so to speak, right? That would be quite, yeah. I don't even edit these shows because it's just a little bit beyond my technical skills. Just time.
Well, live is better. Just letting it flow.
Yeah,
course,
it's
anyway.
live. This is live. Whatever happens, whoever comes in, they just can come in, and yeah, we're open to it. So, and we don't edit it that way. But I'm so fascinated. Now you're going to English houses, like I mean, England has such a long history, and I often wonder, I don't know if there's as many modern day spirits stuck in places as there are older days. Was that because of the mindset when they died? Like, I've been bad, so I'm not going to get going on, so I got to stay here? Or is there any explanation, or do you find that there's as many modern day spirits as like historical spirits stuck?
Yeah, no, that's a really, really interesting question. Of course, there are. We still have issues, but I think we are more aware spiritually now, and more aware of how to conduct ourselves with other people. We all have issues, and we've always had issues. It's called living in the real world, and going back in history, I think the spirits that I've come across who have needed help have a lot, in a lot of ways, been it's their mindset because of culturally as it was at the time, particularly where religion was concerned. This is the right way to do it, that's the wrong way, or you've got to do it like this. So I think how people how their minds were programmed were completely different then. I'm not saying it's down to religion. I'm just saying that's just one of the ways. So culturally, things were different. So you would, like for example, if you would call somebody Miss or Mister or Master or whatever as a term of friendship. Even if your best friend, you would call them Miss or Mister, going back in time, not necessarily by their first name. And now now we have nicknames and everything else. It's completely different. So society is different. So we think differently. So, but there will be, of course, still issues because people have issues. So it's coming to terms with those issues. And I think I'm going to just bring in COVID again, because I think down the line we'll find that COVID has had a huge effect on people's mental health. Some people have come out of COVID and it's been fantastic. They're so more centered. They know where they're going. They know more about themselves. And other people, it's been an absolute nightmare for them. And that has had a great big play on their mental health. And so unless we get help for those mental health conditions, it's going to stay with us unless we resolve things ourselves. So it'll be interesting to see down the line how things pan out. But yeah, there are the majority of the cases I've come across have been older, maybe within over 100 years, but there have been other issues. There have been, certainly within the last decade, the war as well, war issues. Anything traumatic like that has a traumatic mental and emotional effect on people, then that's something that we need to resolve before we go over.
Do you think when they're stuck here, like I know you rescue them and that speeds up their time, is there like a time is there a time that spirit says, okay, enough, we're dragging you back up, no matter whether you even want to or not? Is there like any time limit for them? No, they just stick
No, because it's a self-realization. It's like with anything, you have to take that first step in order to help yourself. So somebody who has an addiction to whatever, even if that's an addictive personality, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, gambling, or whatever that issue is, until you recognize that you have a problem and you take that first step to get help, then you're blinded almost to everything else. And I think that's what it is with spirit, because I've had spirit there, and I'm communicating, or whoever I'm with, whether it's if it's on Rescue Mediums, it's with Alison. If I'm working here, it's either with Steve Furlong, who is my business partner, my psychic partner here, or with Megan, or with Jack. That you have to almost speak to that spirit energy. And if you're bringing someone else in, so say I was speaking to that spirit energy and Steve was bringing in someone here who connected to that person, the person who'd come from spirit to help, so they come out of the light, they weren't trapped. Say it's a husband and wife. So the husband's trapped, the wife comes out of the light to try and help. He can't see her, he doesn't know she's there, and she stood right in front of him, and she doesn't know, he doesn't know she's there because his vibration hasn't lifted enough. So that's when the counseling comes in. We have to wait for him then to go, okay, oh, I remember when. Yes, and as soon as you get that little light, that little chink of light, then everything starts to move. Then the healing process can start. That's another thing I like about rescue mediums, is when that music starts, when the rescue starts. And I hear it over and over again. I still get goosebumps when I hear that.
Now, do you hear it in your head when you're doing it?
Yeah, I know. It's so bizarre. And Alison said the same thing, when we're doing a rescue situation, it's almost like you can hear it there in your head because you know what's happening there. But it's taking that first step. Once we can get spirit to take the first step, then everything else will fall into place. A lot of the time, it's asking for loved ones in spirit to come forward to help, to see if they can help.
Like they do in at the natural time of death, or what that seems to happen at the natural time of death. Loved ones come through to help bring that person through if they're willing and not afraid. I think fear blocks a lot, They fear that they're not good enough, and they fear that they haven't been whatever, like they don't deserve to go to heaven, and they're afraid of going to hell. So they don't know that that's not an option.
Yeah.
I love the effects, the visual effects. Is the what did they use what you actually see in your brain to help create those visual effects? So is that kind of what you and Alison, or you and can't remember the other lady's name. My brain just Christy would see sort of those kind of distorted images. Is that?
Yeah, that's what is so fantastic about this, because Michael Lamport, who is the producer of the show, and Gregory Shepherd, who is the director of the show, they would. Because they're watching what we're doing, obviously we were all part of the same team. We had the same amazing team right from the word go. And Michael's got such a creative mind, and he would be going, okay, this is what we need to do. I know in my head what I need to do to make those scenes, to recreate those scenes. So he was mainly responsible for, for putting all of that together. But the crew was so fantastic, and we all knew each other's job so well. That's your job, we don't cross that line. This is my job, we don't cross that line. And we were so sure of each other that the crew would even mentally, they would have an idea of how that was going to play out, of what they could use. You could
almost visualize in each other's minds. You're almost projecting.
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
did you find your crew would react sort of to what was going on? Would they become more psychic as they kind of experienced all these events with you?
I would think that they have an open mind. All of the crew have an open mind. I do know that by the time they'd really got into the role of things, that they believed in what we did, you know. But they have experienced things themselves as well. I know Mike Andringa, who is one of our camera guys. He's a big guy, and we always made sure that everyone was grounded and protected before we started to work in the house. Something that we've always done. So all the crew were taught how to ground, how to protect. We go through the whole process before we even started. And on this particular occasion, I was with Christine, and we were working. We're trying to get a gentleman through to the light. So I was here, Chris was there, and this gentleman was walking towards us, and Mike was sort of just to the side of us with the big heavy cameras that they had then, because this is early on. I think it's probably like 2006, probably 2005, 2006. So the big heavy cameras, and he's there with the camera on his shoulder, and we're talking to this spirit. He's coming towards us. Then all of a sudden, both of us saw, well, Christine and I saw him move, this energy move, and walk towards Mike. And the next thing, he hit the deck. And yeah, I know. So the camera, we managed to catch the camera, so the camera was fine. Poor old Mike was on the deck. And it's the only show, I think, it might be one other show, it's the only show where the network have said, leave that in. And so it's the only one where it was left in because it was part of the episode, because the energy that we're working with was so strong, and Mike had not put protection around himself.
Oh, okay.
So he learned a very, very valuable lesson on that day.
So do your batteries drain like they do on Ghost Hunters and everything? Do your batteries drain out of your equipment? And
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. We've had one occasion in particular. We were in a basement, but the basement was a livable basement. So you got your all your furniture was in there. Rather than a basement for storing things. And the whole of the crew, we were down there because the family were all sleeping in one room. They were so scared, they were all sleeping in this one room. And we were working in this room in the basement, trying to find out what was going on. And everything, all the equipment, everything went, including the monitors. The director, he has two monitors side by side, including the monitors. They just went, pshoo, everything went. It was the most bizarre thing ever. Yeah, it was very, very strong.
I bet that I got everybody's hair raising on the back of their neck.
Right.
That's pretty cool. That's
amazing.
We've heard the crew have heard footsteps. They've heard what we've heard. Footsteps walking along that we've picked up on camera. On one occasion, I think it was Christine and I. We sat on a staircase, and we were aware of this spirit energy come walking behind us, and the camera picked up an orb,
cool.
which he could, he could visibly see it, and there it is. And as we're talking, this energy moves behind us. So, yeah, it's things like that that gives it the wow factor.
Yeah, I mean, you do that. You sit down and you do the premonitions beforehand, and so many of them are right on. And some of your pictures are like pictures of the people. Like exactly, you're such a talented artist.
Yeah.
And I mean, people don't know that so much about you, but you do psychic drawings too, right? You love spirits, but when you do them, the impressions of where there's photographs of the people, they're pretty accurate. So it must give you kind of give you goosebumps when you see the pictures yourselves that the researcher digs up.
Yeah, it's quite uncanny, really. I mean, in the first 3 series, Christine did most of the psychic art. I did the psychic art as well. I mean, she's a phenomenal psychic artist, and she would draw very accurately. She would draw, other people that we would be actually meeting, or there's a photograph on the wall of that person. And then when we went on to the following 4 seasons, Alison, Alison would say, I can't draw. I can't draw. And it's not about whether you can draw or not. She's right, she can't. she can't. She's not like doing a masterpiece. But you know what? That's not what it's about. It's not what it's about. Alison has the ability to be able to draw a story. So she'll have different things on the page that she's drawn. Some of them can be like this is the whole story, and she always gives it a title, or it could be like little hodgepodge of different things there, and each thing is a clue. Hers are always, it's like, I call it the psychic map. She does like psychic maps, and they're the maps to what we're going to uncover when we're there. And sometimes she'll draw. So might draw a dog, and we'll both laugh, because she laughs at her own work. That's what's so wonderful about Alison. She's not afraid of laughing at herself in that way. And when you see the dog in the house, and it's got a resemblance, it's like it's a cartoon a dog that she's drawn, but it's got this resemblance. And so that is what is so amazing, is it doesn't have to be an accurate picture of who you're going to find now, or who you are going to uncover. It's not a photograph. It's an interpretation of. And so I think that's why my artwork is very different to Alison's artwork, but both of them work for the show.
Sure.
So if I see a gentleman here in my mind's eye, and he's got a top hat and a cravat and whatever, and I draw that, then that's who we encounter, or there's a photograph or a painting of that gentleman when we get to the house. I think that's when you get the sort of like, oh, yes, this is so good. The day that we stop being surprised at what spirits show us is the day we go, do you know what? Because they never fail to amaze. Honestly, it's an absolute joy working for spirit. I love my job.
So I don't know if it was your spirits that are with you there, or just spirits in general, or your spirit guide, but when we were talking about the glitches, everyone noticed the glitch on your screen that happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a glitch, and I said, yeah, you froze for a sec, you kind of glitched, and it was pretty funny. Actually, it was pretty funny. So they were agreeing with us, I guess, that happens. Like, they can, I know definitely. I mean, people don't realize how much their own energy can affect technology themselves. Like, I mean,
Yes.
and I don't, putting out street lights or stuff like that. And, people don't realize, oh, that's scary. No, that's you. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're all energy, aren't we? This is something that I say to my students. You can't see electricity, but you put your finger in a socket, you'll soon find out about it. It's there. It's an energy, and we all have energy. If you do this with your hands, you can feel your own energy, and you can see it. When you start to, if you're looking at your own aura, you can see your own aura. You can see other people's aura. So that's an energy that we can see that interacts with someone else's energy. So it's like somebody coming and standing behind you. There's somebody there. It might be somebody, physically that's there, and you turn around, it's like, oh, I need to move away. They're in my space. And spirit work in the same way. They've not got the physical body, but their energy is still there, so you can still feel it. So that's why I'm always using my hand chakras for everything.
Good to feel, yeah. And I know, since I've had Reiki, like, everything's been amped up. I always call it the Reiki, the gateway drug to spirituality, because all of a sudden you can feel energy a lot more clearly than you could before. And you can feel it in things, you can feel it around you a lot more clearly. And you just, like you say, you can see it, you can feel it, you can start affecting it. So it's interesting. And then you go, oh, okay, then if I've got energy, then spirit is energy. It's nothing really to be afraid of. They're just people in a different form. And if
Yeah.
they're grumpy people on earth, they're going to be grumpy spirits, right? Or, and if they're happy and lovely, then they're going to be happy and lovely in spirit, unless they're confused. And I guess that's what we have to remember, that there's people go, oh, it's my mom, she's a ghost. And I'm going, this is your mom, and she's a ghost. So, like, really, like, she hasn't sprouted horns and become this nasty person. She's your mom. Like, why would you be afraid of your mom? But, that I always, we've been so, programmed, exactly. Ghost stories and how they're always coming at you with things, and then you find out it's not a ghost at all, it's a person, like Scooby-Doo always found out. But that's the nasty ones. But have you ever been afraid going into a place? Have you ever felt like real fear? I know you have the jump scares, but that's natural. Like, I'm not afraid of snakes, but when one crawls over my foot, I jump. But
yeah, I'm human. Yes, there was one place. It wasn't a show. It was a church, actually, that I went to with Christine many years ago. And normally in a church, I'm not a religious person as such, but I do like churches. I like the spirituality within the church. I like the loving energy that's there, and the beautiful buildings. And this church, we'd been asked to take a look at it because of the energy. So we were aware that the energy wasn't right before we went. Well, I have to tell you, we opened the door, and as soon as we opened the door, whoa, it just sort of hit you. And it was the most dreadful feeling of doom and gloom, and panic, sheer panic. So we did go into the church, but we didn't stay. That's all we could do, was just fill it full of lots of healing energy, and hope that he had some effect. But it was an absolutely awful feeling within that place, and a feeling of real apprehension, not wanting to go in there. And not knowing why. And I think that's probably one of the few places that I've been to where we didn't even try to communicate. We didn't even try to help, because the energy was just so overpowering. The door slammed shut on its own. Yeah, there might have been a draft somewhere that caused that to happen, but we didn't stick around to find out.
No, you feel by putting in that light and love and that energy into the place, you might have helped along the way. Is that one of the ways that can't ever hurt?
Yeah, exactly. Whatever had happened there, and it might not have been the church itself, it might have been the ground that the church was built on, of course, rather than it being the church. So we asked for help from upstairs, for them to come in, to bring healers in, to help. So it's always good to call on the healers, or the angels, the archangels, whoever wants to come in to help with that situation, because we didn't feel there was anything more that we could do from our side other than to put that healing energy in there. And I don't know, I've never been back there. Maybe it's worth a visit just to see if it's still there, and what the feeling in the church is now. But it was I'd say that's one of the scariest places that I've been. Yeah.
And maybe it was connected with your past, do you think?
It could very well have been. Yeah, because we learn as we go along, of course. We learn through experience, and with spirit rescue work, it is experience. I know there's books written out there. In fact, Steve and I have written a book as well that we're hoping to get published, on how to how to be a rescue medium or how to work, but putting all the basic, all the footings in first with that. But it's the experience. You have to be there. It's like anything, you learn from experience. So you can have like 5 people going on the same journey, but each one has a different experience of what happened and how they felt about it, so yeah, so it's a very varied life. I can honestly say I am never bored.
So do you find, just one question about the difference between like intelligent hauntings, or what they say, where there's actual spirits, and the ones that are sort of
Residual.
the energy's trapped in the stones or in the building, the energy's like trapped in there, and it's like a repeating, it's on like a film loop, and the same thing happens.
Yeah.
If you come across that in different places,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, and that could be a number of reasons. It can be that something traumatic has happened in that place, or it could be that that is the safe haven that they've gone to and don't want to come out of it. So yeah, so the job is, why are you here? Why
yeah.
why are you in this place? Or is it just that there was someone there in that place that that person was connected to, or have they built that place themselves? And it was their home for a long time, and they don't want to move on from there. There's a number of different reasons why they could be. Might not be the house, might be the house that was there prior to that,
Okay.
and they're
That
seeing
the
a completely
energy's
different.
just stuck in there, yeah. They're in sort of a
Sure,
different dimension and seeing a whole
yeah,
different thing.
yeah,
Oh, God. That's really.
That is so
yeah,
cool.
Bex, you
yeah.
got some interesting questions there?
I've had so many pop up in my head through this whole conversation, but I'm just taking it all in.
I know, it's just lovely to listen to you, Jack.
I think the one that was sticking out the most was that you go to locations to help spirit, but do you find that spirit comes to you when it's ready for help?
Then spirit come to me.
Like when it's ready, like if spirits, look is lost and looking for a light, comes to you to help it cross over.
Oh yeah. They're a doddle.
Right.
Yeah,
So how do you keep that from getting out of control?
well, because you talk to the spirit, and why do you want to be here? Why are you seeking me out? I always say, my spirit guides, I have a doorkeeper. Everybody has a doorkeeper. My doorkeeper will not allow anyone through to me, unless it's a family member that needs help. So it's something urgent. So they will come to me, but my spirit gets no time in spirit. So my spirit doorkeeper will say, okay, you need to come at another time. You go into the waiting area. So this is the waiting area. Go into the waiting area. So because I do a lot of remote rescue work as well. So I literally do. We have a portal. It's a manned portal that's here. We have moved it 3 times, so now it's here. And so if somebody has a problem in their home and I can't get to them because they live too far away, then there are certain things that I will send out to them. One of them being a picture of the door here. And I have 2 spirit workers with me, who work remotely. So as you put the picture of that door in the room where the haunting is happening, and say to the spirit, "Go to Feather's front door." Yeah, don't say go to Jackie Dennison.
Right.
Go to Feather's front door, because I don't want them coming waking me up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Go to Feather's front door. So 9 times out of 10 that will work, because as soon as the spirit makes that connection with that door, the 2 spirit helpers that we have, what Mavis in particular, she's the one that will she makes that connection, she brings them here, and she can mainly deal with stuff herself, and she just takes them through the manned it's the manned portal. So she takes them through the portal, they don't come back. But if it is that she can't get them to go over. There is a waiting area that it's in a different dimension. It's in this room, but it's in a different dimension that they can wait. And then I will go and have a chat with them the next day. Maybe they'll say to me, you need to speak to this person, have a chat, find out what's going on. So again, it's the same process, but it's just done in a different way.
So you
That's
have a
all.
spiritual
Yeah.
office and you have office hours for that
Right.
spiritual office.
Yes.
Because you have to have your boundaries, right? You have to have that bound. You can't be being disturbed all night and day. You wouldn't put it up with it.
No. I have enough trouble, going on the astral plane, because I dream every night. And a lot of people will say to me, I had a dream about you last night. You came into a dream. Oh, God. Well, that's why I'm so tired this morning, because I tend to visit people.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Well, Jackie, besides the things you've told us, is there anything like that you're doing right now before you go away or after you come back? Have you got some new classes coming up or anything else besides you've got lots in the works, so we want to know when they come to fruition, but what else?
Well, the classes are ongoing, so we've got one running at the moment. Here I have another teacher with me. Her name's Julie Sutton. She's a marvellous teacher. Steve Furlong and I do workshops, so we've continually got different workshops on the go. I'm still doing rescue mediums behind the scenes with the crew. With myself and Alison. It's hosted by Sandy Duncan, who is Canadian medium, along with Michael Lamport, who's of course the producer and narrator of the show, and Edna Dargy, who is our researcher. So we get together, we talk about the shows, and it's all done on Zoom. I do the editing. That's what was born from lockdown. I do the editing and they're put out on veryparanormal.com. So unfortunately, Alison's been through a very, very traumatic time. She's lost her husband now, so we've had quite a break, but we are starting again very, very soon, within the next couple of weeks. So so we will be putting that out again. So it'll be great to get back in the saddle again with that.
Awesome. So they can go to feathersacademy.com or the link that's in the video and look up all your workshops and that. Okay, so we have 3 questions before you go, and you can relate to these ones if you want. The first one is, what is your favorite crystal? What crystal do you kind of use, or do you carry crystals when you're out on your rescues? And
all over my desk. I love my crystals. I have loads of them.
Do you carry any on you when you're actually in the show? Or do you carry some, or do you wear them?
Well, my engagement ring is amethyst, and that is my favourite. So I always have my amethyst with me for that purpose. And I chose amethyst, as an engagement ring. My husband was ever so chuffed because he didn't have to spend thousands of pounds, because I wanted an amethyst rather than a diamond. Because amethyst is his birthstone, and it's also my favourite stone. So it was just the perfect choice. So so this is my gorgeous piece here. I love this. I like turquoise as well. I have all my crystals lined up with all connected to all of my chakras when I'm preparing to for my day. So so I suppose amethyst is my very favourite.
No, that's awesome. Lovely. Yeah, I love amethyst too. I have it all around my place as well. And I have some from Baffin Island, as a matter of fact, that I picked up off the ground there. You can imagine. I know. Quite cool. So yeah. Oh, I should say Baffin Island, Bathurst Inlet. That's just as far north though. They have an amethyst point. It's amazing where it grows. So what would be the theme songs now that Spirit has kicked your ass? Do you have a new song for your theme song of your life?
Oh, a song for now?
Spirit kicked your ass.
Two come to mind. The first one's Rocky.
Eye of the tiger. That's a good one.
Eye of the tiger. Yeah, that's very appropriate right now. But do you know a song that has come to mind, and I've not heard it for quite a long time, but I suppose it sums up the time of year. Morning Has Broken, Cat Stevens.
Oh,
I love that song.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
a beautiful song, and and it's like, oh wow, yeah, morning is broken, like the first morning, and it's so quite diverse, quite different, but yeah, that sums up my life really. It's always different.
Right.
So we know you have connections to extra dimensional intelligence, but we're wondering if you've seen any UFOs in your lifetime or any strange lights or ships or anything you might think, or maybe you've encountered aliens on your explorations into spirit.
Well, that is a very interesting subject because I did encounter only once what I believe to be an alien spaceship. So I was walking home from my parents' house to my house, and it's only a very short distance. And I saw what looked to be, it was a triangle shape over the houses, but it was right over. You know how optical illusions can be, like it can look massive, but it's just the angle that you're looking. But this was huge with lights all around. And what made I'm looking at it thinking, am I looking at that right? Is there something just not? And then it just went shoo, straight up in the air.
Wow.
Yeah. Now that must have been, I would say, about 20 years ago when I saw that. I've never seen anything since. However, I do believe that we do have alien spirit guides as well. Alien guides. I don't mean like the little green men from Mars, although they could be. I've never seen one, but I doesn't mean to say they're not there. But these, to me, this is just we live in a universe. We've got this universe, a universe of energy, and just because someone doesn't live on this planet and lived on this planet, doesn't mean to say that that intelligence doesn't exist. And so I do believe that I have encountered intelligence that is giving information from a different source. I
Like
can't.
Star brothers and sisters.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for being with us. And we hope to, once you go to Japan and come back and get your book published, then you can come back on and tell us all about your book. And we can have
Or we can have her and Megan on together after.
Oh, that would be fun to talk about what's going on.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be. Yeah,
can't wait.
I'm sure she's up for that.
Yeah, that would be fun. Lots of fun. Yeah, that energy might blow our technology.
That's okay.
Sometimes it does, but you're very grounded.
Oh, thank you for inviting me on today. I always have a good time with you girls.
It's great. And just one piece of closing business. Lee Cara, you won our Spirit Sessions Soul Spa meditation. So because of your comments, and we thought we did. Oh, there's my sister calling from Mississippi today. There she is. She says, thank you very much. Very interesting. Yeah, she lives in that part of the area that you've been to a lot in Ontario, sort of, north of Toronto, Orangeville, down that way. So you've been up in that way very often. So everybody's quite pleased. And thank you so much. And we'll be looking forward to, I wish we could get your Japan documentary on. And hopefully maybe they'll sell it to Netflix or Amazon Prime or something, and we'll be able to watch it as well. That would be so cool to see you doing that. Of course, with subtitles for us. But thank you very much, and have a great evening, and have a lovely tea, or I guess it's almost 5 o'clock there, or it is 5. So thank you very much for your time, and we love seeing you. Thanks everyone for being here, and join us next week. So, and Teresa will be back next week too, I'm sure. Thanks very much, everyone.
Bye.
Any parting words there, Bex, while I'm trying to figure out everything?
No, happy Sunday. Have a beautiful day.
Yeah.
That's it.
Bye-bye.